What's up, Rec family? How we doing? Hey, how we doing? What? You did see me at Dollar General. Yes, you did. So, hey, everybody having a good week? Yeah? All right, awesome. I'm having a really, really productive, good week. So I'm glad some of y'all are too. There's like 5 weeks of school left, so let's celebrate that. For seniors, there's less than that, right? There's less than that. So seniors, hear me out. Hear me out. You are in a we've been talking about living in renewable and non-renewable moments, right? You are in a non-renewable moment right now. Once this school year is done, you are done with high school. Finish well, so when you look back, you're proud of how you finished. Spiritually, relationally, academically, right? So finish well and honor God with the last couple of weeks of your high school career. Because when you cross that stage at Tommy Oliver or wherever it is you're graduating, it is over, okay? Finish well. So we got a couple of announcements for you guys that you need to know about. One is graduate recognition. If you are a senior, I need you to scan that little QR code right there if you have not and register for the senior dinner and the senior video, okay? We're going to shoot the senior video first week and a half or so of May, and then we're going to do senior recognition here at the church later in May, and where you all will sit down front. You won't stand up in front of everybody, but you'll sit down front, and then we'll have a special luncheon for you after the second service, okay? So we also want you to follow us on social media. You can follow us at ECF_rec and at the Doug Moore. Go give us a follow and give us a follow on YouTube. We're trying to get better at YouTube. We're trying to post videos there. So go give us a follow and help us get those numbers up. Share our stuff, like our stuff, help us get the word out, because you would be amazed at how many people are finding the Rec and the church through social media. Okay, you'd be amazed at how many people are finding us through social media right now. The last thing that we need y'all to know about is the Spring Carnival, okay? Now that is next week from 6 to 8 at the Pole Barn. There will be no worship services next week, okay? We're going to be hanging out doing carnival stuff from 6 to 8. There's a dunk tank that I will be in. There's a pie in the face station that I will be at. So you get to dunk me, you get to pie me, you get to do all kinds of stuff. There's going to be funnel cakes, there's going to be corn dogs, there's going to be popcorn, there's going to be cotton candy, there's going to be a huge tug of war event. And listen, there's going to be different types of carnival games out there. Every time you do a game and you're successful at that game, your name goes into a hat. At the end of the night, they are going to do a drawing for one or two, I can't remember now, but a couple of grand prize baskets, okay? That's got T-shirts and different stuff from here, Shaco. There's a lot of different stuff in there, gift cards, etc. So if you win the prize at the end of the grand prize at the end of the night, you get to choose to take home the prize basket or to hit me in the face with a pie again, okay? So I know I'm seeing a lot of grinning people that are like, I'm about to take out 7 years of frustration on this man. And so anyway, like I got one right down here, and lives about 2 miles from me. But here's the deal, okay? We're excited you're here tonight. Dr. Steve, our senior pastor, is going to be speaking this evening, and he spoke at the middle school service. He's speaking tonight. I'm grateful that he asked to come and speak to you guys. For those of you that don't know, Dr. Steve was the student pastor before me, and he's the one that started the Rec. He's the one that designed and built out the facility at First Choice, and he has a love for student ministry. And his leadership, along with the elders, is a massive, massive reason that you have the student ministry that you have, okay? So we're excited to have him here tonight. And so for the next few minutes, let's just focus on Jesus, okay? Let's pay attention, give him your respect, and let's honor God in this moment. And let's see if God shows up. I know for a fact in the parking lot right now, I just began a salvation conversation that I'm going to try and follow up with tomorrow. And another adult is having a salvation conversation with middle schoolers in the parking lot right now. So God is at work. And before I pray, I want you to know that I am super proud of how you guys have been so engaged this semester as high school students, okay? You all have not checked out when it started getting warm. You guys have become more engaged. The band's noticed, I've noticed, and you guys are reaching people. Every week I'm meeting people for the first time. So I just want you to know that God is honoring your commitment to Him and your commitment to the gospel. So just keep living for Jesus, okay? Let's finish the school year strong. Father God, we love you, we thank you, and we ask that you would be with us and help us to grow in our walk with you, God. We thank you for what your Son Jesus did on the cross when He died for us so that we could have our relationship with you repaired. And God, I pray tonight that you would speak through Dr. Steve to the hearts and minds of these students and these young adults in here that are called by you to make a difference in their schools and in their families and in their friendship groups, God. So God, we love you, we praise you, and we ask that you would be with us this evening. In your name, amen.
All right, y'all, let's stand up and worship. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul, and now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, just when you called my name. I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day.
Where creation suddenly articulate with 1,000 tongues to lift one cry. Then from north to south and east to west, we'd hear Christ be magnified. Where the whole earth echoing his imminence, his name would burst from sea and sky, from rivers to the mountain tops, we'd hear Christ be magnified. Every creature finds its inmost melody, and every human heart its native cry. Oh, and then in one enraptured hymn of praise, we'll sing Christ be magnified. I'll stand strong and worship you, and if it puts me in the fire, I'll rejoice 'cause you're there too. I won't be formed by feelings, I hold fast to what is true. And if the cross brings transformation, then I'll be crucified with you. 'Cause death is just the doorway into resurrection life. And if I join you in your suffering, then I'll join you when you rise. And when you return in glory with all the angels and the saints, my heart will still be singing, and my song will be the same. Oh, Christ be magnified. Let the tender whisper of love in the dead of the night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, and I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know that we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, this love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still in love. Love, love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
Father, thank you so much for this opportunity just to lift praises up to you, Lord. I just pray in this time that we would just be able to just focus on what you'd have for us to learn from Dr. Steve, Lord. That you would just, your hand would be over him and you would speak through him, Lord. God, that our hearts would be open and that your name would be glorified and lifted up, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Can you hear me now? Y'all don't have quite the energy the other group did. I may fall asleep up here if y'all aren't careful. You know, I'm the old dude these days. Thank y'all for allowing me to I guess, grace my own platform and be able to talk to you guys. Here's the deal. Probably in this room, I'm Austin's dad more than anything else. But I've been in Emerald Coast a little while now, and I have a heart for teenagers, believe it or not. And I know that what you're doing is not easy. Like growing up's not easy. There's some painful places. Some of you probably have already experienced more pain than I can imagine. Yet you came in with a smile on your face, and you're glad to be here, and most people would never know. But it's not easy. It's not easy in the world that we live in. I get that. And I think one of the things that I want to be able to communicate with you guys, and I'm having to kind of change gears because y'all are not 11 and 12 years old. You guys y'all are the mature group. And so my goal is to actually be an encouragement to you guys. Like I want to, on Sundays, I do my very best. For those of you that are here on Sundays with your families, I do my best to be able to, even though it feels like I'm picking at you sometimes, because like I most weeks try to be able to give young families that have younger children things that they can talk about in the car on the way home, and I try to be able to I talk about work a lot, and I talk about mine and mom and dad and that kind of thing, and that can leak. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be wanting to be independent and make your own decisions, right? Like if your child is, like if you have parents and don't want to be 35 and living at home with them, they want you to want to make your own decisions and to be able to decide when you get up and when you go to bed and whether you need to study or whether you don't or where you're going to work at. Eventually, all that stuff has to happen. And like you guys are in the prime of saying, all right, I'm just about fully cooked and ready to get out of the house, so stop telling me what to do. And yet you still aren't paying all the bills and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of this awkward space, right, where you want to be independent and they want you to be independent and you're about to be more independent, but you're still kind of under their authority. So I'm trying to help make that easier for you where I can. And yet in the middle of it, I'm still got one that wants to be able to make his own decisions about stuff too. And we get along pretty good. Can I ask you to do me a favor? And I mean this, like it feels weird to ask this. Those of you that have already at some point followed me on social media and that kind of stuff, you know that I try really hard not to be a creeper. I would never embarrass you for the world. I'm not out there to be like, but here's the deal. If you give me the privilege of doing that, it helps me actually be able to encourage probably your mom and dad, and because, it gets me in circles that I wouldn't be able to get into otherwise. And so that's where, and I do try to put positive stuff out there. A fish picture every now and then, but I usually try to be an encouragement. So thank you for help with that. The other thing that I would tell you, I want to give you, and I'm looking at a couple of you guys, like you're here enough, you know the basics of what we're doing as a church and why we're doing it. But some of you don't have that, and I've never been able to just kind of put it in a picture for you. Like my goal is everything I say tonight would be connective to where you guys are at. I'm not talking to 80-year-olds. I'm not talking to 12-year-olds. I'm not talking to 6-year-olds. I'm talking to you guys, high school students. Some of getting ready to graduate. Some just got into high school. You're in the middle of athletic careers, academic careers, all that stuff. And so I'm going to begin by giving you kind of the 50,000-foot view of where we're at as a church, what we're doing as a youth group. But then I'm going to actually make an application and talk a little bit about sowing and reaping and like the principles that are at play. And then we're going to take one little piece of how that works that's found in the Bible, just kind of show you kind of how the pieces work. Because like what I found as a believer is that the Bible is a lifetime study. Like I'm still in the process of seeing how the principles work, and the goal is to, like I'm not fully cooked. I'm trying to be. You're like 48. Like how are you not fully cooked? Well, I try to say better than yesterday. Every day I want to be better than I was yesterday. An example this week of how I'm trying to like stay sharp and be sharp and get better. I got brand new glasses today, right? So like I can see y'all. So don't try to get away with anything. I actually can see you tonight. They're progressive lenses. Like I'm like, oh, how do I do that? I'm like, oh, I can see it's bigger. Like I'm getting old, but that's bigger. It's better. And I got my teeth cleaned this week, right? Like got to keep them clean, sharp. And I got both of my hairs cut. And so this is as good as it gets. And y'all gave me a great excuse to wear my ball cap. So I'm trying to be better and sharper and young and enthusiastic and all that stuff. And I'm going to be doing that for all my life. Like I'm going to constantly trying to be more like Jesus. Now I kind of want to set the stage. I borrowed a tree from my dad. And I'll tell you the story about the tree, and I'll tell you what kind of tree this is. But you got to wait. Like this is just like see the root hanging out. I mean, it's just raw tree. And so But you got to wait for that. First, let me give you kind of the overview. Can I do that? Can I give it to you in a nutshell? I think I'm, in some ways, have been more excited tonight than most nights, most Sunday mornings. But so you remember the funnel, right? You're like, oh, the funnel. If you ask me, what are we trying to do as a church? I actually had a guy working on his doctorate ask me the question of what is y'all's strategy for evangelism, which is how do you tell people about Jesus? I said, well, we got a funnel. But here's what it is. Basically, the Bible, this is taking what the Bible says, puts it in pictures. Don't like pictures. I mean, let's be honest. If you really like the word stuff better than the pictures, I mean, that's not normal. But some of you memorize it well, and that's great. Don't be offended. But the picture makes it easy because the Bible literally tells us that our role is to go make disciples, to baptize them, and then the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? Some of you have heard this on Sunday, some of you hadn't. And then it says, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. The reason that matters on this little chart, I mean, you all know that we talk about, we want to know if you know Jesus, and then we want to see about you getting baptized. That matters a lot, by the way. And if that hadn't been settled and you're not fully sure what that means or you haven't done that, and dude, I keep looking at you because it hadn't been long since you got wet. I mean, you're dry now, but just barely. And it's exciting because once you accept Christ, like we want to know that, then there's that sign of how do you identify with Christ? I hope I didn't embarrass you, man. I did. It's too late. So the fact y'all are a tough crowd, okay? So the fact is that it's a signal of what's happening on the inside, but that's not the end. That's literally the starting point. Like not a starting point of being saved, but the starting point on a journey that the Bible describes as forever in the rest of your life of becoming more like Jesus all the time, right? Because you're not fully cooked yet. In the process, salvation, baptism, small group serving and sharing. You know what salvation and baptism are? Small group fits there because you get better at anything you do when you practice with other people. You get better when you practice individually. And it happens in small group. Like literally Hebrews, I think they actually have this verse, but Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25 says, not to forsake the assembling of yourselves together as the manner of some is, but encourage one another so much the more as you see the day approaching, right? What does that mean? Like, oh, it means I got to be in worship every week. Actually, that's not what that means. What it literally, that's what you'll hear preachers say, and I'm not knocking preachers. What I'm telling you, literally what the Bible is describing is groups of believers practicing and getting better, becoming more like Jesus because of their togetherness. Any of you that are on any athletic team or an academic team or a debate team or a twirl team, twirl team's athletic too, okay? But any team, y'all don't be laughing. You're going to offend somebody now because you're not on one of those teams. And so for y'all to be laughing, you're laughing at somebody. It's not good. But here's the reality. You get on a team and you do it together so you can be better. You practice. I mean, didn't the band do pretty good? I mean, I'm kind of partial. The band did pretty good. They practiced. They got together and they practiced. So if we expect to get better and to be more like Christ, we should practice. Or we're just really, if you look at the funnel, we're just deciding that, okay, well, I stopped at baptism, I'm good. But that's not what the Bible teaches. And so I want you to know that. And small groups, a place that happens. It's you encouraging one another. We're literally the application we're going to get to is about how we talk to one another. Like I'm literally I hope to be able to convey to you, maybe there'll be a couple of places in your own life you're like, oh, I don't talk to this person in a way that's affirming, and what I'm getting back is not affirming. Or maybe you just know that you don't like how it's going with mom and dad, or with a little sister, or with an older sibling, or with a boss, or with a teacher, or with a coach. Try doing something different on your end. Try planting something different. See if something different doesn't pop up. Because there's some principles at play, okay? And so the concept is that we practice the principles found in the Scriptures. Now, when I say principles, there are things that, whether you believe it or not, are always going to be true. And it doesn't mean that it's become a reality like today, but we've been told that every time this happens, this is the result. Like you can count on it. Like you do it over and over. This is really what they call science in large part. Like we know that when if this, then that. I was not 100% that the little group, can I call them the little group? I'm not 100% that they're just learning cause and effect. Y'all know cause and effect. And cause and effect allows you to predict the outcome of certain things. Now, even if it wasn't 1,000% every single time, it still is very predictable that you probably ought to play the odds on most things. If we're talking about life, and you've heard the concept, but sowing and reaping, it's a predictable concept that farmers plant a seed and they reap a harvest of the seed they planted. It's not an accident whenever they plant corn and they get corn. Like, that's how that works, right? And we find that throughout the Scripture. But it's true of everything. Like, and this is harsh. Like, this is harsh reality that principles that are true are true. And I'm going to use a different illustration this go around because y'all are more grown up. I think y'all can handle this. Don't judge me, okay? Y'all promise not to judge me? Because if not, I'm going to be offended. I'm really not going to be offended. But here's the deal. So how many of y'all have been to Grand Canyon? Anybody? All right. I hadn't been yet. It's on my bucket list. My wife went when she was little, and because she went when she was little and has pictures that we looked at of her little trip out there, that means I can't go, okay? But one day I will. Like, I'm not bitter. I'm really not bitter. But one day I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon, and I'm going to get to see it. But here's what I know to be true. They're used everywhere that you go that has high places anymore. They've got all these signs that tell you don't get close to the edge. They've got rails. Back in the day, they had a way of showing you not to get close to the edge. Hey, somebody died last week. They jumped off that edge right there. Don't get too close to that. You'll die. Like, you'll be dead. And you know it was, and it sounds rough to say it that way, but like they expected people not to be. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They expected them not to be a dum-dum, right? Like, that's kind of a little word. Actually, y'all do have a little kid in you, right? Like, I got dum-dums for everybody. Because, and like this one, man, this one's cream soda. Like who would think you plant a cream soda seed and you get what you get, right? And so I want you, if I'm giving you 1 point, don't be a dum-dum. Can y'all say that? Y'all aren't too mature to say that, right? Y'all can y'all have fun with me? Am I allowed to have fun? Say, don't be a dum-dum. Say it one more time. Don't be a dum-dum. All right, so you walk out here, but when we say that, I'm not insulting anybody. I'm telling you that there are laws at play in our world, and God has said these laws happen over and over and over again, and you can count on it. And when you try it and you get the predictable outcome, guess what you've been? You've been a dum-dum. Because he said you're going to get what you sow it, you're going to reap it, right? And so what I'm literally telling you is that the way that we know, people used to learn hard truths by facing the consequences of seeing somebody else fall off a cliff. Like, I ain't doing that, man. That guy, he got too close and he coming back tomorrow. Like, that's bad. Like, and I hope nobody's lost anybody that way, but guess what? That's real. Like, it's a real principle, right? Here's the truth. Like you're like, man, I don't know. You're saying this. It's just, I don't feel like that. That's how it is. Like, listen, man, I'm walking close to the edge. I just jumped down. It was predictable. You know how I knew it was going to be a pretty high jump? It's because it was a little higher than I thought it was the first time, right? Because I'm getting old. It's not, it feels like it's higher than it used to be. It's not any higher than it used to be. I'm older than it used to be. But because I know that that's going to be true because I've tried it before, well, I know what to expect, but I'm not going to step off and think I'm not going to fall. Wouldn't that be that made me a dum-dum, wouldn't it? Now, a couple of you guys are big enough, like you could just hold me for a minute or two. And we could delay the inevitable, couldn't we? We're not going to test it, but some of y'all could hold me a little bit longer than Janie, I think you could hold me longer than they could, but we're not going to test it. And I'm not going to point out who I think's strong, who she's stronger than. But maybe I can just hop right back up. Can I do it that way? It felt like Spider-Man just for a second. I know that wasn't graceful. I'm so sorry. But did you get the point? You get the concept, these principles. So what if everything we know about God and salvation we find in the Bible, and he's given us principles, and he said, hey, if you do this, you're going to get this. If you honor mom and dad, then surely your life will be lengthened. There's a promise with that, right? Or the book of Proverbs, and here I'm giving you some meat to take with you. There's so many principles in Proverbs that are just good for life. You want to learn principles about dealing with people? Go to the book of Proverbs. It tells you not to mess with your neighbors early in the morning because they're going to get mad. It tells you not to meddle in their business because you're going to have a problem later because they're still going to be your neighbor. And even though you got them in trouble today, tomorrow they're going to be your problem. It's just there's wisdom there. It talks about not being lazy. It says the man that he talks about finances and a little bit along the way, the man that wants to really be wealthy, work hard every day. Don't be a sloth. Don't be lazy because if you're lazy, you ain't going to eat. Like it says you won't have enough. If you don't plant when it's time to plant, there's not going to be anything popping up. And you're going to say, well, I'm hungry. You didn't plant anything, dum-dum. Right? Like, we don't want to say that like, hey, you had a chance. You're like, well, some people can't. There's a little bitty group of those people. There's no insult. There are some people that can't. But for everybody that could, that didn't, hey, you need to go hungry for just a little bit. Maybe you won't do that next year. I know that's not like the Grand Canyon. You just say, hey, man, he ain't coming back. No. But this is how we learn. Quick story. I got to be quick before I get into the word part, okay? I was thinking maybe y'all are too old for this, but it's about me, and it makes kind of a dum-dum out of me, so y'all would like that. So I tested gravity one day. Like, I know that you can't do certain things, but when I was like one of those little ones, like middle school, I, for some reason, thought that you could run over a basketball with a bicycle. And I had gotten that bike for Christmas, and it was, look, don't laugh at me, don't judge me, because like some of y'all think you know better than reality. Like you think you're going to try it. You're going to test gravity, and you're going to have a skint knee and some other stuff. Like, because if you don't listen to the principles, like this is what parents try to get us to do. And I'm not saying all your parents are right in everything they say, but teachers and coaches and all that, they try to tell you stuff. And you're like, well, I'm going to see it myself. Hey, y'all, watch this. It's going to hurt. Don't blame me if you're walking around smiling later and you can't get anybody to date you smiling. You got all these missing teeth because you just tried gravity. I mean, what'd you think was going to happen? I'm not insulting anybody. I got extra teeth right here that they helped me out with, but that's something different. That's a different story. So I'm going 90-0. Let me breathe. Y'all good? So I'm on my bike. It's a cool bike, blue handlebars, blue knobby tires. Bike was white. It was awesome. Used to jump the ditch over there on my way to the ballpark at Oriole Turn. It was awesome. Defied gravity, kind of. It just hurt when we landed. But I decided that day I was going to drive over the basketball. It didn't work so well. I don't know what the principles were. Y'all could tell me. Things that are in motion stay in motion, except the basketball stuck. And I hit it. I hit it square. Like I played baseball, right? So it was just square, like a round object on a round object. That bike tire on that basketball, and because I hit it so square, neither moved. And so there I went. And so then I got up, and I was all by myself. It was like a tree falling in the woods, right? Did it make a noise? Well, let me just tell you, I made a noise when I hit. I had to have. And I didn't know. I was trying to figure out what pieces were there still. And so I bent down to pick up my pant leg because I wanted to see how bad my skint knee was. I know that I messed the pants up, but I wanted to just see how bad it was underneath. Blood was already kind of coming through. And so as I did that, a drop of blood hit the ground, and I thought, okay, I got more problems than my knee. And I was still one of those little ones, right? I was probably about 12 or 13. Well, no, I was probably about 8 or 9. Maybe I'd like to give myself credit since I was a dum-dum. Maybe I was a little bit younger. I had stitches before. The other time wasn't my fault. I was holding on to my granddaddy's leg, and I fell off at a church up in Columbus. I fell off and hit my knee, my chin on the brick. And I was like 4, and they had to put me in a papoose. If y'all have never been in one of those, it's like a wood back thing, and it's a straight jacket for a kid. That was not cool. Y'all following me? Anybody else got ADD? You recognize it, man? It's late. But it's good. So I didn't want stitches again, and I was upset. I've never in my life tried to run over a basketball with a bicycle again. Because I learned that day when I skinned my knee and I got stitches in my chin, I still got the scar. So I walk around with scars to show me what not to do the next time. You're going to have some scars. The Bible gives us stuff that helps us avoid some things. It helps us to grow. What does that have to do with this tree? Galatians says you reap what you sow. Like literally Paul wrote to the church. They got it up there in print, but I'm not even going to get off my knee for the second because you guys are going to get the concept that he says you will reap what you sow. And it says don't get weary in doing good because in due season, you will reap what you sow. Like God is going to follow through on his promise. And sometimes like you're young and you're like, well, I'm not young. I'm almost, yeah, I know. You've been after it a while. But there's stories in the Bible of people that did things year after year after year after year. And God is going to fulfill his promise, but you may get weary and wonder, is it really true? But think about it. When you started lifting weights, did it feel normal the first day? Could you lift a whole bunch the first time? But the principle's true. If you break down the muscle fibers in a repeatable fashion and you put that habit and that routine in your life, over time it's going to get better. You're going to get stronger day after day after day after day, and at some point you start seeing progress. It's true in almost every facet of life because what you sow is what you're going to reap. So the tree, I won't even let you guess what kind of tree. It's a pear tree. You probably wouldn't have guessed it first thing. It came from from underneath one of my dad's, from his favorite pear tree. My dad likes pears, and this pear tree's got his favorite pears on it, and so this one, quote, volunteered. But instead of leaving it there and letting it just grow if it grows or not grow if it doesn't grow, Dad decided, because Dad likes to make things grow, so he put it in a pot, and he gave it his own pot, and it's trying to grow out of its pot. And he put the right soil in there, and he's put it in the right place with the right water, and all that. This is a pretty thing. Like, I got to get it back to him because I'll kill it. Not on purpose. I'm just not good at growing stuff. But Dad is nurturing this. Why? He wants some really good pears that have just the right taste, just the right texture, just the right. And he knows because this one came from that tree. That's what this is going to produce. Like, there's not a whole lot of question in it. Side note, he got some, you're going to think we're crazy at my house. We're not. This is a principle that works. What you sow is what you reap. He got some really good strawberries, big, fat, juicy strawberries. Like, don't you like them big and fat and juicy with the dark red and really sweet? Like, I mean, it's real. But have you ever had bad strawberries? You ever had bad grapes? Like, man, these aren't any good. Don't plant them. Don't plant those seeds because they're going to grow something you don't want, right? Like, it's predictable. Like, this is reasonable. And so he's fixing to plant some of those strawberries, and he's going to grow them some strawberries. Like, no, he's not. Yeah, he is. Get ready. How does it apply to us? What are you growing? Like, not what flavor Dum Dum. I got cream soda. I don't know what y'all going to get. But if you decide that you're going to plant stuff that's not going to give you the result that you want, and to try to defy the book where you messed up. Now, let me give you one example. The Bible in the book of Proverbs speaks about the benefit of how we use our words, for good or bad, for death or for life. It says it matters. It says there's a fruit. It literally says it in such a way that we know that the law of sowing and reaping matters in our words. And so it says it I've got more verses than you want, and this isn't all of them. It's just the ones I could not help but put in. It's a couple more than what they have in the back. Example, Proverbs 18, 20 and 21 says, for from the fruit of a man's mouth, his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield, the harvest, of his lips. Then it says in the next verse, in case that's not clear, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruits. You like death? You sow enough of it, you're going to eat its fruit. Grand Canyon, you got it. Jump off the Grand Canyon. You get what you get. Shouldn't have done that. That's going to hurt. Proverbs 11:12. Whoever belittles his neighbor lacks sense, but a man of understanding remains silent. Why? We're talking about physical neighbor, but literally talking about the person next to you. You run the person down next to you, what do you think that's going to yield? You think they're going to be encouraging in response? No, you're going to get back what you're giving out. You want to be encouraged? Then give out some encouragement. You reap what you sow. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. You think you can start a fight? You can. Think you can stop one? Probably. Over time, I promise you can disarm a lot of things. I got 24 seconds. I don't know why I'd give you this story, but one day, about 15 years, you weren't born yet, Austin. I was in a Hardee's, and the buddy I was with went to the restroom. He's a worship leader. You got to watch his worship leaders. It's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. But he came back. He cut in line, like he was with me. I mean, we were having lunch, and there was a big dude. I mean, a tough dude, like a construction dude. Probably, I don't know. I'm 6 foot. He made me look little. He's probably 250. And he wasn't happy. Like, he just looked like he had nails for breakfast, and somebody had not fed him for a long time since then. And he looked like I took his lunch money, but I didn't take his lunch money. And he's looking at the two of us and just scowling. And he says, "Hey, you cutting in front of me?" And like he didn't push anybody, but he's getting. And my buddy said, "No, look." And he's not as athletic as I am. And I'm like, dude, I ain't want to do nothing here over a hamburger at Hardee's. Okay, like this ain't worth it. And like I'm the preacher from the church down the street. And he says, "Well, no, we came in together, and I just went to the bathroom. Like, I washed my hands." I'm glad you washed your hands, you know. And but the guy wasn't happy. I said, "Listen," I said, "Sir, please, it's okay. You go ahead." He's like, "Oh, you wimpy? You gonna take that?" Yep. Because by then I could look far enough ahead. Like, what good's gonna come from this? Like, do I want to go back to the office in pieces? Do I want the TV crew out here? Do I want his day to be? I mean, his day's already ruined. Why should I let it ruin mine? And so and I'm like taking my guy's like, "No," but I'm like, "Shut up, be quiet. Don't be a dum-dum. Don't be a cream soda dum-dum. Don't be a butterscotch. Just don't be a dum. Not right here, man. Like, let it go." And you sometimes have a friend, and this is where it works in groups. And you're like, hey, buddy, come on back. Like, I mean, you got even on the ball team, right? Like, you're about, it's a championship game. Don't start a fight right here. This ain't the time to do it, man. It's going to cost everybody. Like, it really is. Sometimes in our families, we need to be the one encouraging what we want in return. And listen to me, if you've got a mom or dad that has anger issues, or they don't say things, I'm not assuming that is the case, but I'm assuming that not every family gets the encouragement that they always get. It doesn't mean that they're going to automatically, on day one, begin to reciprocate. But I can promise you, you can turn away a lot of wrath with a soft answer. And I will promise you, if you want a mom that responds to you differently, if you start being complimentary on a consistent basis, over time, it's going to have an impact. It's going to create a relationship that's different. Some of you have practiced it and seen it, but like the word tells us that it's true. It says a fool's lips walk into a fight, and his mouth invites a beating. And a fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are a snare, a trap to his soul. But then it says gracious words, Proverbs 16:24, like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. You see the principles? And like this in Proverbs is over and over and over. If you say this, you get that. And you don't say this, then this is the result. Like it tells us, I wanted to use the word jabroni, but I picked dum-dum. But y'all know jabroni's the new thing, right? Like it's fool. And we have this descriptor of what fools are and what wise people are. And wise people watch their tongue. Wise people are silent in certain moments. Wise people listen. And they don't respond. There's another verse talks about they just respond with their opinion without listening. Guys, it's an act. I mean, I've dealt with enough couples and families to know that active listening is a skill you've got to have. You want a tree with sweet fruit? You got to nurture it. You got to pull out this. You know, you can say, "Hey, look, I'm going to have a great tasting garden to pick from, but I'm going to not protect that, and I'm going to put a bunch of weeds in there because I just like to believe that my way's better." You can believe it all you want, but you're going to have weeds, and it ain't going to be the same salad that pear tree is, because that's not real. It may be how you feel about it, and it's not an insult. It's like gravity. What you reap is going to be what you have sown. You guys can have an impact, like a huge impact. I believe that. I can already tell you, can I affirm you a little bit? I was so concerned about not being able to get y'all into it, like I didn't want us to be in the space that we're in and the way that we are. I didn't have anything better to give you than y'all didn't care. Y'all just had a great attitude this whole time. I mean, maybe you hadn't, but nobody's told me. It's just always, y'all have been incredible. That's made it so much better for me. I got some adults that aren't as happy, but y'all have made it better for them. Like, hey, they're happy. You should be happy. Can I just tell you, you can have an impact on sisters. And here's the deal. I've got a sister who's 2 years older. Our relationship is great in part because we have tried to make it good and worked hard at times. Sometimes, maybe I've been difficult to deal with some days, but there's been some days that she's been difficult to deal with. And hopefully, instead of just calling names and tearing each other down, well, she said this to me, so I'm going to say that to her. All these years later, man, it matters at Christmas. It matters at Thanksgiving. It's something special. My dad, like I called him this afternoon. I said, "Hey, what you growing?" I mean, we go to one. I mean, we have a good relationship, but 48 years we've worked at this thing. You reap what you sow. Now, are there some people who are going to be hard to deal with no matter what you do? Yes. But that won't be because you didn't do the right thing. And the world that we live in, constant button heads, right? What about your classroom? Is it a better place because you're in it? Like, my family thinks I'm crazy sometimes because I'll talk to the person everywhere, like all over the place. And like, I just smile. I'm like, "Hey, what's your name? Hey, why do you have that tattoo of a teardrop down the corner of your eye? Hey, man, you got a hand grenade on your neck." Like, real story. Like, I asked him. He's like, "You can't do that." "Oh, yeah, I did. I was a nice guy." Like, "Hey, man, clearly this means something to you. That hurt. Like I'm not, tell me the story. I want to know. Like, I care. I ain't going to laugh at him. I got better sense, right?" But it gave an opportunity to create friendship and relationship. You'd be amazed how much farther it gets you than being like that big old dude at the line at Hardee's that wanted to fight. You getting what I'm saying? I want to create an environment. You're helping us create an environment where we can brighten the world that we're in because of how we interact with people. This is just one principle. Encourage one another. Spur one another on. It works at work. It works in any new relationship you go into. It can be different, but it starts with you. It starts with you. I'm going to give you the dum-dum you got promised. I promise I will. I hope that I can encourage you. I mean what I'm fixing to tell you with all sincerity. I'm going to do everything I can when I see you on Wednesdays, but if I see you on Sundays, I may act like I'm picking on y'all because I'm going to push you to work and learn and all that kind of stuff, but I'm for you. I'm for you. I'm for your family to be an encouragement. I'm for you to have hope and purpose and to know that your future is a great thing if you just keep trusting the Word, keep doing the principles, and don't grow weary in doing what you know to be true. And for whatever you do, don't test gravity, okay? You're going to lose that battle every time. If I can ever help you and encourage you, I want to. I'd be happy to. Y'all stand up with me if you would. Lord, I thank you for this group of teenagers. I thank you for their attentiveness. A lot of them got up real early and they're real tired, and some of them have homework they got to go do too. Lord, I pray that maybe you've encouraged some of them that are going through difficult spaces, that they don't just have to give in to the cynicism and the nastiness of the world around us, but we can be different. Like Christianity's called us to be more like Jesus and to be a bright light in a dark space. And we can make a difference. It is bigger than us, and we can change the attitude in the room and in our community and in the home and in the classroom because you want to shine through us. I pray for each of these students. I pray you'd encourage them tonight. I pray as their head hits the pillow, that the things they can't control and they can't fix, that weigh in their head and their hearts and their minds, the things that they're insecure about, the things that they are hurt over and broken by, that they would put those in your hands and sleep peacefully on the pillow of your sovereignty. And as they wake up in the morning, Lord, that they would practice these principles in groups and individually, that they would encourage one another unto love and good works. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for listening.